Perfect, thank you. So while I'm waiting for the slides to show up, I'm Dr. Shemilt. I'm the Head of Advanced Research Computing at the Rosalind Franklin Institute. We are a biotechnology institute, a national institute for transforming health and bioscience with technology. And there's quite a few of my colleagues here today, also from the art team at the Franklin. So if you're interested in what we do, please come and catch us during any of the breaks, and we would be happy to talk more. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about one of the projects that we're involved with, and it is between the Rosalind Franklin Institute and our kind of sister institute, the Henry Royce. So the Henry Royce Institute is another national institute developed for advanced materials science. Thank you very much. So I'm going to talk about federated laboratory data management. And it's kind of interesting, where does data fit into this landscape? So there's a lot of projects on the NFCS about data movement, data management, data policy, data agreements. But there isn't very many projects that look at the generation of data and how it is handled within an institute. And one thing that big AI companies cannot do yet is they can't generate data. You think about the big models that have come out, things like AlphaFold, that was trained on the PDB. Where did the data from the PDB come from? It came from scientists, it came from laboratories. And so actually, we really need to make sure that the laboratory is part of our federated digital research infrastructure. So I'm standing in front of my point here. So actually, one of the interesting things about the national institutes like Franklin, Royce, also Crick, is we aren't facilities. We're not like Diamond Light Source, we're not like ISIS, we're not like telescopes. So we cannot do data management at the point of acquisition. And this is because our laboratory instrumentation is bought from many commercial vendors. So it doesn't support a single data management system or a single data acquisition system. And if we wanted to do it, we'd probably be in breach of contract. So this can often lead to siloed data within an organization. So you have an NMR machine from one manufacturer with its own set of proprietary software and data formats. You've got EMs, electron microscopes, from another manufacturer with their own formats and software. So how do you handle all of these things? So you're completely siloed often within your organization, and you're not meeting open fair. And so how do you then bring this data together to do foundational models, to train AI, if you don't have a common metadata standard, if you don't understand the context of your data? So one of the questions that we set out to ask was, can we design a data management system that can be used across organizations and within organizations to enable open fair? And I've put open in brackets because data can be fair. It doesn't necessarily need to be open. Okay, there are lots of places where you actually wouldn't want your data to be open, but you still want it to be fair. So this is the project team. We're across the Franklin and the Royce Institute, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what we are going to do. So this is the Rosalind Franklin Institute. This is a picture of our building, and we are a technology innovation for transforming life science, improving human health. That's the mission of the Franklin. And we are a hub and spoke institute. So we actually have a centralized hub. We are our own entity. And this is very important when it comes to data management. Business logic is very important in data management. Moving over to Henry Royce. Henry Royce is set up in a slightly different way. So it is the National Institute for Advanced Materials Research and Innovation. It is a consortium of partners. So it doesn't have a single business entity like the Franklin. It's made up of several different institutes. And so therefore it's exploring a federated infrastructure because it does not have it's an umbrella organisation. It's not a single business entity, hub and spoke. So when we sort of got talking about how we could collaborate on data management, we hit upon this idea. Could we use the Franklin's data management infrastructure, and change it slightly so that it fit with the business logic of the Royce? And then we realized in doing this is, well, actually what we're building is a federated system, right? Something that can be used both intra and inter partners. So a quick architecture diagram, because it's a National Federated Compute conference, so let's have an architecture diagram. So this is currently how we do things at the Franklin, and I'm missing there it is. Okay, so we have our instruments, and they write data to a single storage layer, which is provided by our colleagues at SDFC. So we actually piggyback off the Tier 2 storage facility for CERN, which gives us lots of nice chunky storage. And we then take that data and we can transfer it into our cloud, also provided to us by SDFC, and also to our HPC partners. Our primary workhorse for doing the data transfer is Globus. And the reason that we use it is because it is basically agnostic. It sort of sits on your file system, and all it cares about is whether a data set has been written to file, which is very, very important for instruments because it can work on many different operating systems and it doesn't interfere with the instrument data acquisition in any way. We also have a Kubernetes cluster, and on it we run a metadata catalog. So this is where we're moving towards OpenFair. We automatically mint metadata from the data that's being written to our storage so that we have some understanding and contextualization of our data. So how would we scale this? I apologize, this has come up very dark. But how do we scale this to a situation where you actually don't have a single storage layer like at the Royce? So the Royce will have partners, and each partner will hold their own storage. But actually, if you have a common metadata catalog which people can access, you can actually search across all those partner storages to consolidate your data in a sort of more federated way. Furthermore, the metadata catalog, which I'll come on to, you could even possibly put the backend in each of the partners. You don't need to hold a single metadata catalog and just have a common login system and front end that you can access across your partners. So we would really use metadata as a tool to drive the federated approach. So SciCat is the open source metadata catalog we use. You can find out more about it at SciCat project. It is an open source community. It has a very, very flexible metadata structure, which is why we adopted it in the Franklin. It is backed by a NoSQL database. So you are very, very free to put in the kind of scientific metadata that you need for your research. And when you're in an interdisciplinary institute like the Franklin or the Royce, this becomes extremely important. The other thing about SciCat is it's designed to integrate easily into any architecture. In fact, at its root, it's just a bunch of containers. And you can reach out via workflow managers and messaging queues to kick off downstream workflows in your organization. So it doesn't really care what you store it on, doesn't really care what your HPC is. It's not putting any stipulation on an organization. So what's the project with the Royce? Well, this is the Franklin architecture zoomed in. This is us with our instruments. They're writing to their own tenants, and they have buckets within the tenants for the different projects. We have the Royce over on the right-hand side. We're going to take a set of instruments from the Royce. We're going to write their data into a tenant and a bucket within the Franklin system, simulating what it might be like if Franklin was a partner in the Royce. We will also take the metadata and put it in SciCat so they can get a taste of how that might work for them. So the aims of this project, so we want to establish a governance framework for metadata and how data is handled in laboratories. We want to understand the advantages and barriers of an institute's adoption of this system. And we want to look at the technology stack and assess its fitness for purpose. Can the infrastructure we built at Franklin be used in a federated manner? Or is it simply that each organisation has to look after their own data? Hopefully not. And we want to investigate and refine tools for data transfer and metadata extraction. And we want to test the suitability of this framework for similar institutes. So that was me, and there are no questions, so I will pass on to the next person. Thank you for your attention.